discussed some of these names. Let's welcome in Rob Thummel, who is a Senior Portfolio Manager at Tortoise Capital. Really nice to see you today, Rob. So thank you for joining me around the desk.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I mean, let's just 30,000 feet. I mean, how are you looking at things right now? It's a really interesting story. We were just talking to a previous guest about oil.
Yeah.
Obviously what we're seeing there with some of the OPEC plans this week, what they're talking about. But then obviously you've got this AI story as well, and the whole infrastructure build out. So what are you watching in particular?
Yeah, Sam, so the way we look at it at Tortoise is, look, the energy sector is probably one of the most exciting places to be investing in right now for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's evolving, the sector is evolving, but electricity is becoming the new oil from our perspective. So AI, if AI is the future, if everything's going to be AI, and our lives are going to depend on AI, well, you're going to need a lot of electricity, and that's why we think that electricity will drive the economy going forward. And so that really opens up just the possibilities for investors in the energy sector to really invest in some growth stocks as well as some just steady Eddie dividend-paying stocks as well.
Okay, and then sort of where across the energy space, I mean, would you be looking as far as that electricity and that power generation is concerned? Because, I think it's all about natural gas and nuclear right now as far as what people are talking about and getting excited about it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So we see electricity demand growing by 75% between now and 2050. That's significant growth in electricity. So electricity generation is one area that you can invest in. But as you highlight, you need a fuel supply source. So natural gas and nuclear are going to be the fuel supply sources that drive that electricity generation growth going forward. And so we see opportunities in natural gas producers, natural gas infrastructure companies like a Williams or an Energy Transfer that have high dividend yields. And then, as I mentioned, on the electricity side, electricity generation in places like Texas, companies like Vistra Corporation that produce electricity are interesting stories as well.
How much is this whole concern around, grid and, the fact that it needs a good old upgrade? How are you looking at that? I mean, because, this is something that many had been talking about ahead of certainly NVIDIA's earnings as to, what Jensen Huang and co. might actually say about that as a potential for a risk.
Yeah. Oh, well, Sam, it's a big risk, but if the U.S. is going to maintain its AI dominance, it's going to have reliable, consistent electricity generation. So there's going to need to be investment, and there's going to be a lot of investment in the U.S. electricity grid, and that's going to be a great thing. That's going to be a growth engine for a lot of energy companies going forward. You've even got interesting stories like Bitcoin miners that actually have access to electricity. They're going to transform from Bitcoin miners actually to data center operators, companies like TeraWulf and Riot Platforms and Iron. There's just really, really interesting stuff going on. That's why I say it's one of the most exciting times to be investing in the energy sector.
Iron, I think it's an Aussie company, isn't it?
That's right, it is. You're exactly right. You've been
talking to our producers, I think, because that's a nice segue. We're about to talk to Hive Digital Technologies as well, which is in the business of the Bitcoin mining as well, and using renewable energy as a support, as a support there. So renewable energies, how are you looking at that?
Yes, well, so we think that you're going to need all of the above energy. If we're going to generate 75% more electricity, you're going to need really an all of the above approach. Okay. But from our perspective, though, natural gas is going to be the primary driver of gaining market share and continuing to grow its market share. Natural gas is already the largest supply source to generate electricity. It's probably going to gain market share going forward. Nuclear a little bit in the future. And renewables will always be around, solar in particular, will always be a contributor, but it will never be a major contributor just because of the intermittent nature of the fuel or the supply source.
Yeah, okay. And interesting line I've just seen in your notes as well. I mean, you're talking about U.S. exports rising too. I mean, the fact that you've got these other trading partners buying hundreds of billions of dollars more U.S. energy. Tell us where and what they're buying.
Yeah, well, so that's a huge opportunity as well for the energy sector. Another reason why it's an exciting time to be investing in the energy sector. So the U.S. is the largest energy exporter in the world. And so, and now we've got Europe and as well as South Korea agreeing to buy, in aggregate, $850 billion more of energy. That's a lot, because I think last year the total energy exports were only around $400 billion. So what are we exporting? Liquefied natural gas. That's probably one of the primary export energy products. We're also exporting a lot of refined product, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, as well as oil as well. So really all of the above, and ethane and propane as well, I should say, which are called natural gas liquids. So there's a lot of opportunities for exports to continue to expand and a lot of energy infrastructure companies to benefit.
Yeah, and this has also been part of some of the negotiations as far as Trump with various trading partners, with respect to cutting deals as well with various countries. So I suppose that's all part of that as well. I'm just wondering, with Silicon Valley now looking at some of these nuclear companies, back to that side of the story, it's been interesting as far as changing the psychology, as far as, how we've traditionally looked at nuclear. I'm just wondering, how you see that build out, because it's not a fact of going out and sort of buying, a plot of land and building a, nuclear power plant. These are like old power plants that are going to be sort of rejigged and renewed.
They are. No, that's a very good observation.
And is policy supportive of that, is what I'm trying to say as well, because I have seen a number of headlines out saying that Trump is looking to sort of kickstart that and get things moving quickly along.
Yeah, no, we invest in the largest nuclear operator, Constellation Energy. It's been a great stock for us. We continue to think that nuclear power will play a critical role. President Trump actually issued an executive order to expand the nuclear energy industry. So to do that, you say, well, what do you have to do? Well, you have to enhance the uranium, basically, enrich the uranium. I mean, so in order for it to become powerful enough to generate electricity. So you need infrastructure here in the U.S. to enrich that uranium. So that's what some of the executive orders are going to do. Now, that's going to take a little while. We're going to need to really mine for more uranium in the U.S. and enrich more uranium in the U.S. because a lot of it now comes from foreign sources. So in the meantime, like I mentioned earlier, everybody's talking about what's going on with the nuclear side, but this Bitcoin mining thing is really interesting too, because you can get electricity from Bitcoin miners, and while you wait for this this uranium and this enriched uranium and these processors to generate more uranium and more nuclear energy that way.
Yeah, it is very much a marriage of what the corporates are doing. This is very capital intensive. Also, it has to fit in with the policy, and I suppose with Trump's whole onshoring efforts and what some of the government's efforts are around trying to reindustrialize here is supportive of that. But as I said, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So how confident can we be in some of that?
Yeah, well, it takes a lot of capital investment, but I think the U.S. believes, and I think everybody believes, that AI is the future. And I think everybody believes that the U.S. wants to maintain its AI dominance. So electricity is going to be important. Data is going to be important too. Data is a new oil as well. We need a lot of data. We need a lot of data centers, and we're building these data centers that are massive, right? We're building a data center in northern Louisiana. Meta is, Mark Zuckerberg and his team. That's going to be the size of the footprint of Central Park. So, and that's just one campus. It's going to be massive. So it's a lot of capital, but we're going to really position ourselves for decades ahead, and that I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, some of the tech companies haven't been holding back, certainly in some of the sort of eye-watering numbers they've been throwing out there on the capex front. So I suppose that's reassuring on that front. But Rob, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really fascinating chat on the energy space today. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, Rob Thummel, who is the Senior Portfolio Manager there at Tortoise Capital.